Let us start with the recitation of chapter 15. Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Urvamulam Adhashakam Ashwatam Prahuravayam Chandamsi Yasya Paranani Yastam Veda Saveda Ved Adhaschordhvam Prastatastasya Sakha Guna Pravirda Vishaya Pravala Adascha Mulani Anusamtatani Karmanubhandini Manushaloke Narupamasye Atato Palabhyate Nanto Nachadir Nacha Sampratishta Ashwatamenam Suvirudamulam Asangasastrena Tridena Chitva Tatha padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivadanti bhuya tam eva chadyam purusham prapadye yatta pravarti prashata purani nirmata dosha adhyatma nitya vinivret kama Dvandvair-vimukta sukha-dukha-samnir kacchanta-muda padamau-yayam tad na tad-vasayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad-gatva na nivartante tad-dama paramam mama mamayvamso jiva-loke jiva-bhuta sanatana Manashasthani indriyani prakatishthani karshati sariram yadavapnoti yakchapyutkramati swara krihitvetani samyati vayurgandhani vansayat srotram chakshus prasanam cha prasanam granameva cha adhisthaya manaschayam Visayan upasevate utkramantam stitam vapi bunjanam vagunanvidam vimudhananupashyanti pashyanti jnanachakshusha yatanto yoginaschainam pashyantyatmanyavashtitam yatanto pyakritatmano nainam pashyanta chetasaha Yat adidya gatam tejo jagad vasayate khilam yak chandramasi yak chaknao tat tejo vedimamakam gam avishya cha bhutani dariyamyaham ojasa pushnami chausadi sarva somo bhutva rasatmaka aham vaishvanaro bhutva Praninam deham ashrita Pranapana samayukta Pachamyanam chaturvidam Sarvasya chaham hridisam nivishto Matta smitiryānam apohanam cha Vedescha sarve ahameva vedyo Vedanta krit veda videva chaham Dvau imau purushau loke charascha chara evacha chara sarvani bhutani kutashto chara uchyate uttama purushastvanya paramatmetyudharata yo lokatrayamavishya vibhartyavyaya ishvara yashmacharam atitoham akshārādapi chotama Atosmi loke vede cha pratita purushottama yo mam evam asammudo janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata iti guyatamam shastram idam uktam maya naga etad bhutva buddhimanshad kritakrityascha bharata. Om Tatsaditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjun Samvade Purushottama Yogo Nam Panchadasodhyaya. Hari Om Tatsat, Hari Om Tatsat, Hari Om Tatsat. Sri Krishnarpanam Astu Shubham Bhuyat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Hari Om to all of you. Last week we completed chapter 18, verse number 57, and Krishna is basically concluded or completed summarizing the three parts of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Okay, so now what he wants to tell us in these further verses is basically there is no compulsion for anyone to follow these teachings. You have free will, you have choice. So it's not necessary that you should follow these teachings. But you should know, number one, what is the benefit of following these teachings? And number two, so the benefit of following he gives in verse number 58, which we are going to discuss today. And at the same time, you should know that if you do not follow these teachings, which you have a right to do, what are the consequences of that? So that in verse number 59 and verse number 60, he will let us know. So always we have to keep in mind that we have free will. We can choose to follow or not to follow, but we should know the consequences. So with this, let us look at verse number 58 first. So here Krishna says, Mad Chittaha. The word Mad Chittaha in verse 58, Chittaha refers to the mind, and Mat here refers to the Lord. So, Mat Chittaha meaning if you fix your mind constantly on me. And what does he mean by that? When you say fix your mind on me, practically to us, what does it mean? It means that whatever action we do, whatever duties and responsibilities we do, we should always keep in mind that what we are doing, is it on the path of Dharma? Is it the righteous path? Is it the path that God has given us in the scriptures? So everything must be checked against that righteousness, against that path of Dharma. So whatever knowledge we have received on how to do the right actions, what are the right things we must do, what we must avoid, all these things should be kept in mind while we are performing our actions and duties. So that's what he means. Keep your mind fixed on me. Always check and question yourself that are you doing, or whatever you're doing, is it on the path of Dharma? Okay. Now, he says if you perform all your actions, considering yourself as an instrument in the hands of the Lord, surrendering all your results to the Lord, then what happens? He says, you will tarishyasi. Tarishyasi means you will cross over. You will overcome. What is it that you will overcome? Sarva Durgani. Sarva means all. Durgani means difficulties, challenges, obstacles. How will you overcome all this? The Lord says, Mat Prasadat. By my prasad. Prasad here means by my grace. You will overcome. Now, we must understand that it does not mean that once you surrender to the Lord and you consider yourself as an instrument in His hands, that you will not face any difficulties or challenges in life. They are not going to go away. It is not that just because you surrender to the Lord means everything is going to be very wonderful. So, why? Because we know the prarabdha karmas are not going to go away. No matter what you do, you are a most pious person, you surrendered all actions to the Lord. Your prarabdha karmas you cannot run away from. So, whatever difficulties, challenges you will face. So, what does he mean when he says you will overcome all your difficulties? Meaning, if you take an example like a ship which is lashed by severe storms, but it remains firmly anchored to the harbor. So, what happens? The ship is protected by being anchored to the harbor. So, just in the same way, when we surrender to the Lord, we are able to face all situations and challenges, we are able to overcome because our mind is anchored to the Lord. He becomes our inner strength. He becomes our source of wisdom, our source of thinking. So our mind is not confused. We have that inner strength and the ability to meet all the challenges. And at the same time, we are not carried away by materialistic and sensual attractions of the world. We are very careful because we have our mind anchored to the Lord. So you're able to effortlessly meet all the challenges in your life. So Lord says, by my Ishvara Prasadam, by my very grace, if you surrender to me, because the Lord is giving us a promise here. He's saying, if you surrender to me, I will be there for you. But I can only be there for you if you surrender to me. So we are reminded of the classical story of Draupadi when she was being disrobed in the court of Hastinapura. She cried out to Krishna while she was being disrobed, but he didn't come. But he came because she was holding on to the sari, and in one hand she was holding, one hand she's crying out to him. But the minute she released her hands from the sari, meaning total surrender, he came. So while we want to depend on the world half and half we want to depend on God, it's not going to work. We're talking about totally surrendering to him. And then we will be able to receive his grace and meet all kinds of challenges in life. There is a beautiful Sanskrit saying in the Manusmriti, one of the scriptures. The saying is, Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, meaning Raksha means one who protects or one who walks on the path of Dharma. So Dharma Rakshati means you are always on the path of Dharma. Dharma in turn will protect you. Dharma in turn will guide you. If you surrender to Dharma, Dharma will guide you. All the righteous thoughts, righteous ideas will come to your mind. If you're prepared. See, just like when people come to us, if you go and lecture people, let's say you have Gita knowledge now, you decide, you see a group of people, you go and lecture to them. What's going to happen? You tell them chapter 18, chapter 12, chapter 15, verse 12, all that, you start lecturing to them. But they don't want to, they are not receptive to the knowledge. So whatever you talk to them is nothing is going to work. But if they come to you and say, can you give me some knowledge from the Gita? That means they are being receptive. They are ready to receive the knowledge. Then only they will understand the teachings. So here it also says, Dharmo rakshati rakshataha. If you walk the path of Dharma, Dharma in turn will support you. So here the Lord has given us the benefit, the advantage of following his teachings. Now, if we don't follow his teachings, then what will we be following? Supposing you decide, I don't want to follow these teachings. They are not for me. They are ancient knowledge. Then what will you follow? Nature. Your nature or your what you call inherent nature, right? Your whims and fancies. What you think is right, you do. What you think is wrong, you don't do. So in the next half of this verse 58, he says, since it is not what we call, these teachings are never to be forced upon anybody, okay? What will you do? He says, Atachet. If on the other hand, let's say you have no faith in these teachings, you don't think that these teachings are ancient teachings, they have no validity in today's time, then what he says, and you decide, Tvam na, you do not, sroshashi, you do not listen to the teachings of the scriptures. Listen here means you don't follow the injunctions of the scriptures. So you may not have any faith in the scriptures. Then what would you follow? He says you will be following your ahamkara, your own ego, meaning your own whims and fancies. So you might say, I know everything. Why should I listen to the scriptures? I know what to do. I'm an educated person. I got degree, I got PhD. I'm a multi-millionaire. I got a lot of money. I've been very successful in life. But we have to understand, worldly knowledge and spiritual knowledge is different. You can go to the best university. Will they teach you how to handle your mind? They will teach you how to make a living, but they cannot teach you how to handle your mind. How to handle ego, anger, jealousy, pride, etc. Universities cannot teach you that. So what happens, he says, if you decide not to follow the teachings and you decide to follow your own ego, your own whims and fancies, then he says the consequences are vinakshasi. You will perish. Perish meaning materially you may be very well off. There is no problem in that. Materially you may be very successful, but spiritually you will perish. How will you perish? Because once you follow your ego, you follow anger, jealousy, pride, envy, you give in to all these materialistic and sensualistic desires, you will definitely go down the spiritual path. You will perish in that way. So the advice is stay connected to the Lord, stay connected to the path of Dharma. So it is just like when you're driving on a dark road, that if you on your headlights, you're able to see everything very clearly. That is following the path of Dharma. But if you follow your own ego, then how does it translate? You're driving down a road without any headlights. Your headlights are off. You do not know what is there in the darkness. Anything can happen. So we have to understand in this verse that you have a choice. That's why Krishna is concluding with that. He says, I've given you all the teachings now, but you have a choice. You want to follow, you know what is going to happen. If you want to follow, you also know what's going to happen also. So now we come to the next verse. Okay. Now, one thing we have to analyze is, supposing we have very strong rajasic vasanas, then you will act according to your vasanas, right? But supposing my rajasic vasanas are forcing me to go and earn money, is there anything wrong with that? So the problem is not that you should not earn money. The problem is how you earn that money. You see, having rajasic vasanas, you set up a business, you are very successful, you earn money. The question is, how do you earn that money? Through legal ways or illegal ways? Number one. In that, do you have a choice or not? In that, you have a choice. And how you also spend that money. If you spend that money also to help others, to give dhanam, charity, to uplift society, that also is your choice. So, gunas are there, they influence us in a certain way, but still there are choices that we can make also. So in verse number 59, the Lord says, Yat manyase. Yat means if you, manyase, if you think, now he's talking to Arjuna of his situation. He says, Arjuna, if you think, na yodse, I will not fight. Because that is what Arjuna had declared to Krishna, that I don't want to fight. So, in modern day language, they say, when we face a situation, whatever situation in life, there are three choices that you can do. The first choice is, whatever problems or situations you face, you can fight back. You can fight back with that situation, right? That is first choice, fight. Second is, what we call flight. You run away from the situation. You don't want to handle it. You don't know what to do. You run away. And what is the third? One, you can fight with the situation. One, you run away from the situation. What is the third choice? In Arjuna's case, exactly what happened, Arjuna's case. He did not fight back. He did not run away, but he froze. So fight, flight, or freeze. You don't know what to do. You don't know what action to take. But Arjuna had one more extra special quality in him, which is he surrendered to the Lord. So when we are confused, we got all the wrong thoughts, wrong knowledge, wrong notions. And imagine with that wrong understanding, you take a decision. Do you think your decision is going to be right or wrong? So our mind is already confused. Definitely the only way is to surrender to a higher authority. So here he says, Arjuna, if you decide not to fight, if you decide to run away from your duties, because this is what Arjuna declared to Krishna in chapter 1, then he says, Asritya, you are relying on your ahamkar, in your ego. That is only ego. Because you feel that you know what is the best decision. But you are not following according to dharma. Dharma says do your duty. But you are not following your dharma. You're not doing your duty. You either decide to run away or you decide to, decide not to do anything. But by right, you have to make a choice. So what is the right choice now? Here for Arjuna, what is the right choice? The right choice is to, number one, do your duty. When he says here fight, to us, what it means is that do your duty. Don't run away from your responsibilities. But more important than that is what? Surrender to the Lord. So while you are doing your duties, you surrender to the Lord. That is the right action. Now imagine if you choose not to do your duties, is it going to help you in any way? Is your mind going to get purified? All the wrong thoughts, all the wrong ideas that you have are not going to go away. So the best thing to do is to perform your duty and surrender to the Lord. Surrender to Him. When you're in a state of doubt or confusion, pray to the Lord and sincerely surrender to Him. So here is advising Arjuna that when you say you will not fight, that is the wrong, what we call path of action that you're taking. By right, you should just engage in your duty. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. When Arjuna wanted to not engage in battle, what did he want to do? He wanted to become a sannyasi. So if you look at it now, what is the difference between a Brahmana, which is a sannyasi, and a Kshatriya, which is what Arjuna was? A Kshatriya is supposed to fight for what purpose? To uphold dharma, right? So how does a Kshatriya uphold dharma? He has to engage in battle. He has to fight. He may have to kill also. But his intention is noble. His intention is to support dharma, to establish dharma. A sannyasi also does his duty for what? What is his end purpose? He also supports dharma. How does he support dharma? Huh? No, by renouncing, how does he support dharma? By renouncing, he doesn't support dharma. But what is the duty he has to do to support dharma? He serves society. He spreads the knowledge. He does rituals and prayers for people. He expands the knowledge. I mean, he teaches the knowledge. So by his way, he's also supporting dharma. A Kshatriya, by fighting, is also supporting dharma. So what it tells us? Ultimately, whatever duty, responsibility we are doing, by doing our duty, we are upholding dharma. So we should not think that one duty is more superior and another duty is inferior. Every duty is equal. as long as you follow the path of dharma also. That's what Krishna also said in chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna said, I come in every yuga. Every yuga I take a manifestation. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, Krishna comes. Why he comes? He says to protect dharma and to destroy adharma. So there are many ways you can protect and dharma and destroy adharma. One is by teaching knowledge. One is by following the path of dharma. So whatever duty you do, always keep in mind the most important thing is to follow the path of dharma. Then every duty becomes a worship to the Lord, a form of worship to the Lord. Okay. So
this consider some
yeah.
This consider the same rule for the common soldier fighting for Duryodhana on the other side. They are fighting, strictly speaking, from our view as adharma.
Right.
But that guy thinks it's dharma because he's fighting for his boss. He works for Duryodhana.
See, if your boss tells you to do something illegal, would you listen to it?
No, I wouldn't be in there.
Huh?
But this, I wouldn't even be there. I would have run away long. But these people are all, they are
Correct.
there.
So again, this is all wrong understanding.
Yeah.
Right. So they are being aligned with adharma just because you're following directions, but you know it is adharma. But for some reason, you are bound to that person, just like Bhishma Pita. For some reason, there is a story in the Mahabharata because he gave promise to his father to protect the throne of Hastinapura. He decided to stand on the side of adharma, but he paid the price for it. Right? So the question is, we have to be very clear what is dharma. If we are going to support adharma, then we should know what is going to be the consequences for us also. Okay. So now he says, if you decide not to fight, you decide not to do your duty, which means you are not following dharma, what is the consequence? He says, mithya, fruitless will be your consequence. Vyavasaya, your determination not to fight is going to be fruitless. Why? Because of your prakriti, because of your very nature, you will be forced to fight. Your nature is that of a Kshatriya. You will be forced to fight. Now, what is he trying to tell Arjuna here? If you go and fight with the wrong, what you call attitude, that you're fighting with ego. I'm a great soldier. Everybody fears me. I won all my battles. I'm going to fight. It is better for you to fight, not run away from the fight, but fight with the attitude of surrender to the Lord. So now see, same action. Arjuna, either you can fight with ego, you can do all your duties, your responsibilities. For example, we go and give charity to an institution. One person gives charity to an institution, but with the ego, he demands that they announce his name every week, that you are a great devotee of the Lord, that you have given so much money. Based on that, I will donate the money. Okay? Action is good or bad? Action is good, but the motive is wrong. Take another person who also gives donation, but quietly gives the money and just walks away, doesn't want any acknowledgement. So this is what he's telling Arjuna. You go and fight the war with your ego, the consequences are not going to be good. But if you fight that war, so the fighting the war is not the problem. It is your attitude that which you are doing the action. So this is a wake-up call to us to understand that is the actions that we are doing, that is okay. The duties we are doing is okay. But what is it that spoils our action is our attitude to that action. If we do it with grumbling, grudgingly, with hatred, with jealousy, with anger, with ego, that same duty that you're doing, you are basically polluting that action. But that same action you do with purity of mind, with humility, with compassion, that duty itself becomes an act of offering, an act of worship to God. So he's saying, if you decide not to fight also, it's going to be worthless because you will end up fighting, because your very nature will drive you to fight. Okay. So the best thing is to surrender your action and perform your duty. Now we come to verse number 60. So now in verse number 60, Krishna explains more about this. Our nature will drive us to do things irregardless of whether we want to do or not. Our nature will drive us. So our only thing is we can change is our attitude. So he says here in verse number 60, Kaunteya, meaning Arjuna, Nibaddha, you are bound by Svena Karmana, by your own duty. You are bound to do actions. Why? Because of your Swabhava Jena, because of your very inherent nature. You are Rajasic, you will be forced to do something. You are Sattvic, you will take to those kind of duties. So that's why even you see like children, whenever they are already young, some already they can start playing musical instruments. They are able to catch up very quickly certain things because they are carrying their vasanas from their previous birth. And some become studious, some are not studious. So they are carrying that vasanas from the previous birth. So he says here, you will be bound to do actions by your own nature, by the own gunas also. Okay. And he adds a word here, avasha api. You will be helplessly driven by your innate nature. And therefore, he says, na ichasi kartum, even if you desire not to fight, you will be pushed to fight because it is in your very nature also. Okay. So whatever it is our nature, we follow. That's why you see, he gave us the 4 categories of the castes, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Sudras. We all fall into either one of these 4 categories. So all 4, what we call professions, are noble. They're all good. The only thing, as Krishna keeps on repeating, is that it is your attitude that is going to make the difference. That is the most important thing that we have to learn from these verses. Now, you cannot apply this logic. Somebody might say, it is my nature to rob people. Can we say that? So now it's my nature to rob people. I can't help it. I rob people. So that is my inherent nature. I like to rob people. Can we say then I should just follow that? What is the defect in this? When we follow our nature to do adharmic things, we are not going to end up purifying our mind. If we are driven with the wrong nature and we do adharma, therefore, what our scriptures are telling us, follow your nature to do the law, to do dharmic things, not adharmic things. When you follow your nature to do dharmic things, then you will grow spiritually. So in that you have a choice. Example, you have a choice to follow dharma or not to follow dharma. We must understand that very clearly. We have a choice. What we decide to do, we have a choice to follow or not to follow dharma. That is what he's basically trying to explain. So he says, Arjuna, in this verse, he's saying, if you think that you will not fight, but you will end up fighting because your nature will drive you to this battle. And if you decide, you say you're not going to fight, it is only because of your moha, your delusion. That means your wrongful thinking. And that is one question that Krishna is going to ask Arjuna when he completes all his teachings. At the end of this chapter, he will ask one thing. Has your moha, your delusion, born out of ignorance? It is ignorance that causes us confusion, that brings about this delusion. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. We follow our selfish desires and we end up in problems. So Krishna only asks Arjuna one question. Has your moha, born out of ajnanam, born out of ignorance, has that been removed. Once we get knowledge, we are no more in a state of delusion. We are very clear with our thinking. So every action that we do is guided by this righteous thinking. And we cannot therefore make any mistake on that. So here he's saying, Arjuna, it is your moha, it is your delusion also. So now we come to verse 61. So in verse number 61 now, he's also going to explain to us about this free will and how we should understand that we have free will to operate also. Okay? So here he says Ishvara. Ishvara meaning the Lord, the ruler of the whole world, the creation. He says Ishvara Tishtati, he resides. This supreme consciousness, the supreme being, where is he residing? He says Hridase, in the heart. So this God of consciousness or Brahman or whatever you decide to call it, this Ishvara is residing in the very heart. So heart here refers to what? Always understand, heart does not refer to the biological heart, but it refers to the mind. So Ishvara is residing in the mind. Now, that's why if anybody asks me, what is the most important message of the Gita? To me, the most important message of the Gita is how to be a master of your mind. That is what it is teaching us. Because once you are the master of your mind, then your what we call our clarity is there. We know what to do in life. So instead of mind guiding us, we will be controlling the mind. So here he says, Ishvara, this consciousness resides in your mind. And that is where normally all our decisions start. Whatever action we want to do, everything starts in the mind, right? If we have wrong ideas, wrong knowledge, wrong desires, our actions become wrong. If we have right desires, right knowledge, our actions become right. So he says this Ishvara is residing in our mind of what? Sarva Bhutanam, of all the creatures. Everywhere Ishvara is there, is residing. Okay? So therefore, understand, God does not only reside in the mind of saints, but he also resides in the mind of sinners. Everybody's mind is residing. So now, what do we know about this? He says, Ramayan, the Lord is revolving or supervising through the power of Maya, Sarva Bhutani, all these creations, Yantra Arudani, as though they are mounted on a machine. So this is something we have to understand. When we talk about all these creatures, they are just moving around like as though mounted on a machine. What does it mean? It means that we look at our own example. Machine means like a piece of equipment, right? What is that equipment? Our body is an equipment, our mind is equipment, our intellect is an equipment. So we are in this whole creation, we are moving around, we are operating in this environment, using our body, using our mind, using our intellect. Now, how should we use all this equipment? We have been given this equipment, right? You have been graced with this equipment, body, mind, intellect. How should you use this? You have two choices. Either you use this equipment and align yourself with Dharma. That means the Lord is residing in us. We are very close to this consciousness. If we follow the teachings of the Lord, follow this supreme consciousness, we are on the path of Dharma. Or we can use this body, mind, equipment and follow our whims and fancies. So he says all of us are there. We are all moving around in this creation. We all have that equipment, especially human beings, because we are gifted with intellect. We have that decision or the right capacity to have a free will. We can decide what to do. So he says here, you have that consciousness, you have that divinity in you, But you have the choice to decide whether you want to align with that or you want to go against that. That is your choice. So again, we must to understand whatever actions we take up, we follow compassion, love, humility, etc. We are on the right path of Dharma. If you decide to follow all your actions based on anger, greed, dishonesty, then you will pay the price for going against Dharma. So our bodies and minds functions like an instrument, but there is a deeper force within us. There is a divine force. So it is up to us whether we want to surrender to the divine force or just surrender to our whims and fancies. Now, what is Maya? A lot of people get confused. What is this Maya? This is the power of God. Earlier in chapter 7, verse 14, if you go back, Krishna has spoken about this Maya. Chapter 7, verse 14. Page 141. So, in chapter 7, verse 14, he said, verily, this divine Maya, illusion of mind, what is it made of? The three gunas, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic gunas. Is hard to conquer, but those who take refuge in me alone can cross this Maya. So, as long as we are guided by these gunas, the sattvic, rajasic, tamasic gunas, we are entrapped in this Maya. And Maya has got two properties. Okay. One property is called vikshepa. Vikshepa means projection. I will explain. The second quality of Maya is called avarana, which means veiling. So what happens is, this wonderful world of Maya, which is made of so many attractions and distractions, this Maya projects, vikshepa means it projects all the attractions and distractions of the world. So we are here, the world is here, and then what does Maya do? Maya also avarana, it veils. What does it veil? It veils the supreme consciousness. So we are here, this wheel is here, the wheel is all the attractions and distractions of the world. Behind this wheel is the Supreme Lord or Supreme Consciousness. So what is our role in this world? How to transcend or transgress this Maya. We have to not get entangled in all these attractions and distractions of the world, which is Maya, but how to rise over it. So how do we rise over it? How do we rise over this Maya? How do we rise over tamasic gunas, rajasic gunas, sattvic gunas? So these are the three yogas that we have. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. By applying this in our lives, we will rise from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva, and finally with jnana yoga, we will transcend even sattvic, sattva gunas. So we have to understand that this Maya is an illusion that is entrapping us here. But through the knowledge of the scriptures, we are able to transcend this Maya and ultimately merge with the Lord also. So the example given about Maya, how it dilutes us, is that example given by Adi Shankaracharya about the rope and the snake. I'm sure most of you would have heard this example. So very briefly, I'll just touch on this. If I'm ignorant and I'm told in this area there are a lot of snakes, and I happen to walk into that area and that all the lights go off, then I see an object on the ground. And that object is actually a rope. But because I've been told that there are snakes in this area, what do I think? I think the rope is a snake. So what do you call that? You call that an illusion. You are thinking what is not really there. That is Maya. That is an illusion. When will this illusion disappear? When the light comes on. When the light comes on, you see the rope there instead of the snake, your fears immediately disappear. Your illusion is no more there. So what does it signify? It signifies when we have the wrong knowledge, we are in a state of darkness, we see things which are not really there. We are understanding things in a wrong way. So what does light signify? Light signifies knowledge. When knowledge dawns on us, we realize the truth. We realize what is the real truth. So that's why ultimately we all have to come to the path of knowledge to clear our doubts, to clear our ignorances also. So Maya is that illusion that traps us here in this world also. So again, a very simple way to understand this is Lord is there, like petrol is there in a car. But if you drive the car and crash the car, can you blame the petrol? Who would you blame? You blame us, the driver. So we are the drivers. So that's why he's talking about the machine. We are handling this machine. The Lord is giving us the what we call the consciousness. He's enlivening this body, this mind. But how we use this body, how we use this mind, that depends on us. So again, basically what he's emphasizing on is free will here. Okay. So we have to understand that not everything is ordained by the Lord. He is there to support us, but we have to reach out to him first. So therefore, in verse number 62 now, he gives us this piece of advice here. He says, to attain that supreme goal, saranam gacha. Take, sarana means refuge. Gacha means to take refuge. Take refuge in what? Tam eva, in him alone. So tam means him, but eva means alone. So what does he mean when he says, take refuge in God alone? What is he trying to tell us here? Huh?
Surrender.
Yes, it's true, it's surrender, but when he says him alone, what is he trying to tell us here? Right now, we take refuge in what? If we are in a state of confusion, or we are looking for happiness, we are looking for peace of mind, where do we take refuge in? Do you take refuge in God or in the world? We take refuge in the world. That is a general concept, right? Everything we are searching for happiness in this world. But what do the scriptures tell us about the world? It's temporary. So it's not that you cannot find happiness or peace of mind in the world, but we have to understand that it is temporary. So when he says take refuge in me alone, meaning you should divert your attention, detach yourself from this world, and seek happiness from the Lord, from the path of spirituality. Because that is the only permanent thing that is not going to what we call disappoint you, or is going to what we call you will find definite peace in that. So that's why I think last week I mentioned the word what we talk about. What's the difference between real and unreal? Remember last week we discussed this. What is the difference between real and unreal? We say God is real, world is unreal. What do we mean by that? Right. So real is that which does not change in all periods of time. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow it exists. So here he's saying, take refuge in me alone. And how do you do it? Sarva bhavena, wholeheartedly, not with doubts, with confusion, wholeheartedly surrender your whole being. Okay. So just thinking about the path of Dharma is not enough. You have to act and speak the path of Dharma. You have to bring that teachings of the scriptures into your life. So he's saying wholeheartedly surrender. And he says, Tat prasada, then by the Lord's grace, if you surrender wholeheartedly to him, if you follow his teachings, follow the path of Dharma, implement Dharma into your life, the Lord says, by his grace, Prakshasi, you will attain Param Shantim. You will attain that supreme bliss. You will attain that unchanging supreme bliss.
Question here.
Yes.
Verse 58, and maybe the earlier verses,
Hmm.
the Lord refers to himself as me.
Yeah.
But in 61 and 62,
Okay.
it's a third person.
Right.
the Lord dwells in the heart. Why has he changed the person?
Is-
It's
is-
the same, isn't
You
it?
see, ultimately, we have to understand we are not surrendering to a person, we are not surrendering to a particular idol. It's not Krishna, Rama, and all this.
Yeah.
We have to understand that we have to go beyond that. So, whenever he says me, me, it does not mean the Krishna me, it means that supreme consciousness.
Yeah, but in 61 and 62, it's Lord,
Yeah.
Ishvara.
Ishvara.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ishvara. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's changing.
Correct. But our mind, we must understand here, whatever he speaks about is never a form because we are going beyond the form already, right? The form is only what we call a starting point on our initial path of spirituality. But ultimately, we are heading towards the formless. So that's what we have to understand.
Or is he telling Arjuna that be there is actually him, Krishna?
Sorry,
He's telling Arjuna to listen to him.
that means what you're saying that you and me are one. Is that what you're saying?
No, he's telling Arjuna
Huh.
that should be listening to me.
But me
And then
meaning?
when he says the Lord and him and all, it's
Huh.
another being.
No. We should just
Or is
focus.
it the translation?
Yeah, we just should focus on one thing that we should not get, because this is where sometimes people say, oh, Bhagavad Gita means I must worship Krishna. No, it's not that. Whenever Krishna is saying, come to me, surrender to me, he's not talking about the Krishna. He's talking about beyond that also, Brahman. Okay. So here he says, you will attain this Param Shantim, this supreme bliss, meaning that unchanging bliss. And he calls it the Shashwatam Sthanam, the eternal state. And understand that this is while we are living, not while we are dead and gone. Because if you cannot experience that state of bliss while you're living, there is nothing to look after beyond that. So first of all, we have to reach that state of supreme bliss while we are living. And that's a beautiful story also from the life of Swami Vivekananda also. So before he was known as Vivekananda, his name was Narendranath. Okay. And his father was a prominent lawyer. However, his father passed away and the whole family got into big financial problems. So at that time, Narendranath came to know about this, what we call Ramakrishna Paramahansa. But he did not believe in him. He had a lot of doubts and confusion about him. But he heard about him, he went to see him. So he told Ramakrishna all the financial problems he's having. And Ramakrishna at that time happened to be sitting at the foot of at the steps of the Kali temple. So he told Narendranath, you go in and you pray and you ask mother, ask her for money, ask her for job, ask her for all the material things. She will give to you. So he said, okay. So he goes into the temple and then he puts his hand together and then he starts praying. But instead of praying for money, for job, he says, give me viveka, give me vairagya, give me jnanam, give me knowledge. And then he goes out. And Ramakrishna asks him, did you go in and pray and ask for money and all this? He said, no, I asked for viveka, I asked for knowledge. Ramakrishna scolded him. He said, are you mad? You are facing financial problems. You don't have a job. Your sister and your mother are suffering. Why are you asking for viveka, vairagya and all this? Go in again. Pray to mother. Ask her for money. Ask her for job. So poor fellow, again he goes in. Puts his hand together. Again from his mouth comes out, give me vairagya, give me viveka, give me jnanam. He comes out again. Ramakrishna asks him, did you finally ask her for money? He said, no, I asked for vairagya. So he scolds him again. So then this guy, Narendranath, he gets very upset. He says, you must be playing some tricks on my mind. How come every time I go in there, I keep asking for the wrong things? So he argues with Ramakrishna. He doesn't believe in him and he walks away. But Ramakrishna understands. Why did he go every time? He wanted money. He was desperate for job. He was desperate for money. But why did he go in and keep asking for viveka, vairagya, jnanam? Why? Ramakrishna understood this. So even though Narendranath walked off in anger and frustration, Ramakrishna said, this man has already got a very pure mind. His inherent nature is he wants that viveka, he wants that vairagya. So when he opens his mouth, that's all he can ask for. So when that is part and parcel of our nature, we will not ask the Lord for other things. We will only ask for that which is our nature. We want vairagya, we want viveka. That's what we want. And that's what later, when he became from Narendranath, he became known as Swami Vivekananda. So that is our inherent nature. And how does that inherent nature come in us? The more and more we practice that spiritual path, slowly those good qualities come into our mind. And then it becomes natural for us also. So now we conclude, we have one more verse, 63. So now here, basically Krishna is going to summarize. In fact, according to Adi Sankaracharya, the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, starts in chapter 2, verse 11. Although we have chapter 1, we studied chapter 1, and chapter 2, we studied all the verses, but according to Shankara's commentary, Bhagavad Gita's teachings start in chapter 2, verse 11, because that is the first teachings of Lord Krishna. And when is the closing verse of Lord Krishna's teachings? Is chapter 18, verse 66. See, chapter 18 has got 78 verses, but Shankara says everything ends with chapter 18, verse 66. That is the final message of Lord Krishna. Okay. So we are almost coming to that very famous verse, verse number 66, which according to Shankara is the concluding verse of the whole Gita. So now in verse 63, Krishna has already summarized the path of Karma Yoga. Where did he summarize? Chapter 18, verses 41 to 49. That was a summary of Karma Yoga. Then he summarized Jnana Yoga, chapter 18, verses 50 to 55. That is summary of Jnana Yoga. Now, Krishna wants to conclude the whole Gita discourse by giving his final advice from verses 63 to 66. So 63, 64, 65, 66 are the concluding advice of Krishna. Okay. So what does he say? He says, Iti, in this way, he's telling Arjuna, Te, to you, Arjuna, who are extremely dear to me, in this way, Akhyatam, I have imparted what? Maya, me, the Supreme Lord, I have imparted Jnanam to you. So through this dialogue, this Krishna-Arjuna dialogue that has taken place from chapter 2, verse 11 all the way to now, Krishna is telling Arjuna now, I have told you everything that it needs to be told. Okay, you surrendered to me in chapter 2, verse 7, and I've given you all that knowledge. And what is the beauty of this knowledge? This knowledge is a means to liberation. It will take you to moksha. And therefore, Krishna calls this Gita knowledge as Guyat Guyataram, is the secret of all secrets. There is no greater secret than this. Now, what is the greatest secret here? What does he mean by secret? There are few explanations on this word secret. One is, despite this knowledge being so important for every human being to attain this peace of mind, to reach that human goal of moksha, very few people know about this knowledge. Very few people take their time or initiative to learn this knowledge. So if you take the general public, most of them are into rituals. They go to temples, they do prayers, they do rituals. They can tell you everything about rituals. But when it comes to specific knowledge, that is where they get confused or they are lost. So this knowledge remains a secret because the masses are not interested. They don't think it is very important knowledge. They think it's ancient knowledge. And so it remains known to very few people. Number one. Number two, why also it's called the greatest secret? Because this Lord is so subtle. He's so near to us. yet we do not know. He remains a mystery, he remains a secret. We are searching because of ignorance. We are searching for God in temples, we are searching for God in heaven, we are searching for God everywhere, not realizing that actually He is residing within us. So it is a very subtle knowledge, and it requires a subtle mind to understand this. Because why? The highest form of God is Brahman, which means there are no attributes. So to think of something, if I tell you to describe to me a mango or an apple or an orange, you can describe because you can taste it, you can see it, you can feel it. But Brahman is beyond attributes. So it requires a very subtle mind to understand this, to worship Brahman also. So Lord is saying here, this knowledge is Bhuyat Bhuyataram, the most secret of all secrets. It's a great mystery. As the majority are entangled in these worldly matters, and very few are interested in this knowledge. Okay. So he says, what should you do now? Now that you've got the knowledge, that is the first step. So then it gives us the next step, what we should do with this knowledge. He says, Vimrise. Vimrise means you must contemplate on that knowledge. Now we have only listened. And what we have done? We have taken notes. After we take notes, what we do with our notebook? We write tons and tons and tons of notes. I've seen some students 4, 5, 6 volumes, they've already written notes. Then what do they do with the notes? You put it in the drawer there. So who will get moksha? You or the book? The book will get moksha. You will still be here. So he says, Vimrise, you must contemplate, you must ponder, you must think about it. And this is very important because the more you think about it, certain doubts, certain questions will come in your mind. And then you start questioning, start looking for that. So the doubt is there in your mind. You don't doubt the knowledge, but you doubt your understanding of the knowledge. So then you start questioning. Because if you don't do reflection, you don't do mananam, then you will never ask questions. So he says, Vrimmise, ponder over this knowledge, contemplate over this knowledge. And how? Asesena, fully, completely, deeply you must contemplate on this knowledge. Okay, in great detail, I've given you this knowledge, you must contemplate in it. Then comes the third step. Now I have the knowledge. Krishna says, I've given you the knowledge. You contemplate on the knowledge. Then what comes the third step? Yatha ichasi tatha. Do as you like. Then you decide whether you want to follow this or you want to disregard. You want to, discard all this knowledge. It is your choice. So again, Krishna is saying there is no compulsion in this knowledge. I've told you the knowledge, and you must contemplate, because if you just reject it upon just listening, that is not fair. You have to contemplate on it. And then you have the right to reject it or accept it. So he says, Yatha ichasi tatha. Do as you like. Kuru, do as you like. You can accept or reject, but you should know when you accept what is the consequence. When you reject, you should know what is the consequence also. And another reason also why this word secret is used is because I think indirectly also what he's trying to tell you is you should not just go around preaching to people who are not interested, which later Krishna is going to talk about this. If people are not interested, don't go and waste your time preaching to them, So, Maya, me. Krishna saying me. Again, not Krishna, me. Yeah. Okay. So here he has basically summarized the whole path of knowledge also, up to verse number 63. And then we will come back next week and look at the concluding verses of the Gita. Okay, we end with the prayer. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanura Mardanam